Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to a new episode of Game Rivals. It feels so long since we've done it, but it's been like 2 weeks, but it feels like an eternity. I'm one of your hosts, SeanTemplar. As always, I am joined by my other co-host, Maximilian X. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm okay. I'm doing okay. It's been a bit of a long week. Kind of tired, but doing good.
It feels like an eternity since I've seen your face.
It does feel like an eternity, doesn't it?
Doesn't mean I missed it, but
To your
I'm
point.
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
But
So,
yeah, it feels long. It feels long.
I know. It's strange. I don't know what it is, but it's just like the same because of the whole situation. Like, I don't listen to a lot of podcasts, so it's also a bit strange to record a podcast because normally when I'm on the move, I listen to podcasts. But since I'm working from home now, I just listen to a lot of music.
Oh, that's the opposite. I started going back to work, so I'm
Yeah,
listening to podcasts again.
yeah.
Slowly but surely, I'm catching up on all the stuff that I missed.
You know what bugs me
Um,
about podcasts? Because sometimes I listen to a podcast before I go to bed, so it helps me fall asleep. And yesterday I turned on one about Astroneer. No Clip
mhm.
did an episode around Astroneer, and they did like a update, and they did it in a podcast. And I turned it on, and like within 5 minutes, I fell asleep. But the whole night, that podcast and like all other podcasts in my playlist kept on playing, so it didn't just stop after one podcast. So like I would wake up every once in a while, and hear voices, and like, this is my podcast still playing, and I was too tired to figure out how to turn it off. So like when I woke up in the morning, I was still hearing voices. So it's such a strange feature that does just turn off after one episode.
Did you have any sweet astroneer dreams though?
No, no. And the funny thing is I haven't played Astroneer for a while, but it did get me into the mood to play Astroneer.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. So, from a news perspective, for as far as I can remember, it's not a lot that happened, but it's like the things that did happen are pretty major, to put it that way.
Mm,
Um,
that's an understatement.
yeah. So, do we want to start off with the nice things, or do we just want to drop the bomb and talk about the bad stuff?
Well, let's start with the bad stuff so that we can end on a high, on a high note, because otherwise it's
Yeah.
just gonna be a slump.
So I think the past two episodes we've been talking about this, let me just call it this storm that's going through the games industry, in which a lot of people are speaking up about being harassed and being treated wrongly and stuff like that. It started
Mm,
with IGN last episode or what episode before, and lot of stuff was involved as well. Um, One of the bigger companies that got like hit really hard is Ubisoft. We mentioned that the creative director for Assassin's Creed Valhalla resigned. Let's put it that way. But now, actually today, three pretty high-level executives, including the chief creative officer, have resigned, um, and that there's also like over 100 plus cases being reported within Ubisoft, ranging from psychological harassment to even there is a rape, which is pretty
ooh,
intense.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's pretty intense.
yeah, and it's not something you would expect. It certainly deals a blow to the games industry and to Ubisoft. Yves Guillemot posted a letter on the website, I think it's the Ubisoft website, for everybody to read, in which he said that they are going to move forward in a completely different direction, and they're going to restructure, and they're going to put in all sorts of procedures and things in place to prevent this from ever happening again. And he wants Ubisoft to become a safe space for people to be themselves and to be able to express themselves and to just come into work every day without any fear of uh, something like this happening again ever. Um, I believe so. The Ubisoft was founded by a family. Like, I believe that when let me put it this way, if it was Activision and Bobby Kotick said it, I would not have
Hmm.
believed it because he's just a
Yeah.
money man. But when a person like Yves Guillemot says it, like I'm inclined to believe him more because he's always been this nice, respected, likable guy. It doesn't feel like he's saying it because he has to say it. It
No,
really comes over as he's saying it, and he really means it, and he's kind of petrified that this has happened within his family's company.
within his purview. Yeah, I mean, Man, this is big. Like for a company to like just not just from the it's this is from the top down.
Yeah.
So this is all the higher ups that have just been caught in all these, well, let's say what it is, scandals, um all these allegations. The fact that they're all being removed, there's being this big shakeup. I really wonder what's gonna happen though. Because if they're shifting people around, that means people are getting temporary roles, but they are gonna look for people for permanent positions in those roles. So who are going to be filling those roles? Are they going to be people from outside of the company? I'm assuming they might promote some people up, maybe. I don't know, because they didn't, put that in there, because we don't know what they're going to do in terms of restructuring. What we do know is that for at least one position,
Chief.
Eves is actually stepping in as chief creative officer.
Yeah.
So he's taking that role on. I mean, obviously it's a temporary takeover of the role until they find someone else who can fill the role in a more permanent basis. Um, but yeah,
The
like
role basically is like the head of worldwide studios at Sony, like Herman Hulst is. So it's
yeah.
basically that kind of role. He oversees all studios.
hmm So that means he's gonna have some serious square eyes for like a while.
Yeah, probably.
Because if you're going to be reviewing all the games that your studios and partners are putting out, that's a lot. So
Yeah. On a more positive note, they had their Ubisoft Forward, their digital direct, whatever you want to call it, kind of event
I
today.
don't hate the name.
Me neither. I like the
Like
way it
because
was done and the name.
yeah, the presentation had this weird. Remember when? Okay, this is gonna be like throwing back like a really far, but remember when? I think it was when Windows 7 came out.
I don't remember that anymore.
Was it Windows Vista? No, it was Vista. So when Windows Vista came out, they had this what they call the Metro, um the Metro UI, where everything was literally just squares.
Wasn't that
Like,
Windows 8?
no, that wasn't Windows 8.
It was Windows 8 with all the tiles and stuff.
Was that Windows 8?
That was Windows
That was
8.
Vista. Oh
No,
no, wait, it wasn't Vista.
it was
Oh, maybe it
8.
was Windows 8. Okay, okay. My bad, my bad. Too many versions. 8. Cool. Right. Yes, that one. But the presentation kind of had that kind of feel to it.
Okay. Oh, this was slick. I really liked
It was slick. Like, it wasn't like shitty as that, but it was slick. Um,
it.
yeah, because Windows 8 kind of sucked. I mean, it was better than Windows 7 and it
I'm
was
not,
way better than Vista, but
no, 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 no. Windows 7 was the best compared to 8.
really?
Yeah, you clearly don't use Windows that often.
Now, okay, see, to be honest, I skipped 7.
Oh, how can? Oh my god.
I skipped 7 because during that time I was not really playing a lot of PC games.
Okay. Yeah, so like Vista sucked. 7 was good. 8 wasn't as good. And then they brought out 8.1, which fixed a lot of stuff. And then 10
Yeah,
was what we have right now is like the best.
yeah, 10 is awesome.
Yeah. But anyways, I mean, I liked it. It was slick. I mean, we kind of knew what kind of stuff they were going to show beforehand. Far Cry
Because it got
6
leaked.
leaked out. The release date for
Oof.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla leaked out.
Yep.
It's not really that they try to keep a lid on it, but um, I think the stuff like let's say that they didn't show a lot of stuff, but like the
But the stuff that they showed was pretty cool.
yeah, I mean they started off with Watch Dogs Legion.
Yeah, that looked pretty. Like I said, like when it was revealed the first time last year, I said that Legion actually looks really fun to play, just because of the mechanics in there. You were still
Yeah.
like kind of skeptical about it. This is the first Watch Dogs that I've seen that I really want to play. I
Yeah.
I had, but I didn't really feel that for the first Watch Dogs. I thought it looked fine. It looked cool enough. Um, 2 looked interesting enough for me to be like interested in it, but like, Legion is like, oh, okay, this looks like a really fun mechanic because it feels like another game that Ubisoft made, which is Zombie U, or Zombie if you played the PlayStation 4 version.
I believe
Um,
that game really sucked on the Wii.
no, it didn't. It was actually kind of fun. It was just way more difficult to play because there's no pause in that game, and you have your inventory on the gamepad screen. That was kind of the hook, and it was a pretty cool hook, but it kind of got annoying because you couldn't pause. But it had that feel because that game did not have a fixed protagonist. Basically, anytime you died, the character that you were controlling, turns into a zombie, and then you take control of a completely new and randomly generated character. But it
Okay.
was a bit more bland in that one. This one feels more like the characters actually have backstories. They're
I
not just random, like, oh, this is an electrician, but they don't have like special skills attached to that.
I
This
think
one,
it's
if you're like a
procedurally
construction
generated.
worker, you have construction worker skills that you're using to aid DedSec, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Also,
I,
the grandma is just awesome.
oh, I know you were gonna say that. But like they have spin-offs on characters. There's like this Idris Elba version of James Bond in it. And
Hmm.
there is clearly a John Wick inspired character, which looked really cool because he had the special moves and all that stuff. Like, hey, I want to recruit that legendary assassin, as they call him. But the cool part is that besides it being so open and vast and a bit goofy, which is kind of cool and it fits the style and the setting of the game, is it looks to have a far more bigger focus on combat, or at least the combat really feels like combat. I played Watch Dogs 1 and 2, and in
Mm.
1 the combat was really nice. In 2 it really didn't feel nice. It really felt more like this: you have these hacking skills and that's like the main part, and the combat is a bit of the afterthought. It didn't feel, this sounds stupid when I say it, but it didn't feel satisfying to shoot somebody. Whereas
Mm.
with combat, you want to have that satisfying feeling that when you shoot somebody, it's like, yes, I shot you. Again, this sounds weird when I say it, but it's the only way to express this in a game. So here it looks like, oh, I'm gonna punch you in the face, and it's gonna be so satisfying, or I'm gonna hit you with a big ass wrench, and it's gonna be so satisfying.
Mm.
Um, so that looks really, really nice. And as you said, it's cool to see that all the characters have useful skills. Like the construction worker is dressed up like a construction worker, carries this
And you
huge
can use a
wrench.
nail gun to
Yeah, that
just
looked really cool. That part, him just sliding over objects, kind of like I almost expected him to jump into bullet time and slowly shoot his nail gun. It
yeah.
really looked nice. Yeah, it's coming out.
Actually that reminded me a bit of Dead Space. Because
Really?
because Isaac is also not like a soldier. Isaac is a miner, and he uses his mining tools.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah, he uses like a rivet gun and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a long time
Yeah,
since I played that stuff.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's really
they
exciting.
announced a release date. It's coming out in October 29th, 23rd, something like that, and
Yep,
it's coming to all current gen platforms and next gen platforms.
yep.
And they confirmed that if you buy the PS4 version, you will get a
October
free
29th, by the way.
October 29th. If you buy the PS4 version, you get a free upgrade to the PS5 version. If you buy the Xbox version, you get smart delivery, which is basically the same as what I just said, but with a fancier name, because you know how Microsoft does that. They just create fancy names for simple stuff.
Hmm.
I'm really trying to not freak out and just go ape shit on Microsoft right now because we had this discussion.
Yeah, we
And
did.
yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I thought, okay, should I buy it on the PS4? And I'm like, no. You know what? I will just wait until I get my PS5, and this will be one of those games I buy on the PS5 together with Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like it's probably like a month and a half apart, so I might as well wait that month and a half,
Yeah,
and
maybe.
then
We don't know.
yeah, and then it's also a nice segue to Assassin's Creed, which they also showed.
Yep.
And
Finally,
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 yeah,
finally.
and it looked pretty good.
Jeez.
I didn't expect
They
it.
even stalled that one, by the way. Like,
You,
no, like I just need to like get this on my. They finally start talking about Assassin's Creed, and they keep showing the trailer parts, like the cinematic stuff, over and over again. You're like, where's the gameplay though?
yep.
Where is it? Like, seriously, like if you're not showing it now, then you guys like seriously just dropped the ball big time. And then they finally showed it, and it actually looks decent.
The funny thing is a 30-minute gameplay video leaked out like last week.
No way,
I think
seriously.
I sent it to you, and I looked at it, and it
All
really
right,
looked like
you did.
Assassin's Creed
I
Odyssey.
also remember saying, the leaks are crazy this time around.
Yeah, yeah.
Seriously, what is up with the leaks this year?
I
I
honestly
think
don't know.
people are getting way too like. Maybe it's because they're stuck indoors so long. They're like, you know what? I need to tell people. I need to tell someone because there are so many leaks, man.
I know.
Even though even right before we started recording, there was another thing that came out. And as of this recording, we don't know yet. So maybe I'll make a little thingy in here, and if it was true, I'll put it in there. If not, then we'll just continue this conversation. But if this thing is true, um, yeah, crazy stuff.
What's the
The
thing?
PlayStation 5 date,
Oh,
right?
yeah. So there's a rumor floating around that Sony is on July 13th, which is basically tomorrow for us while we record this, that they will do a brief announcement around the pricing and the release date of the PlayStation 5.
Hmm.
I honestly don't believe it, but who knows?
Again, if it's true, I'll splice it into the episode. If not,
Yeah.
then it was just a
Yeah,
rumor.
it doesn't make sense because I mentioned this offline. It's like if they're gonna do, ah, ah. Okay,
If they're gonna do it,
so basically, Microsoft's going to host an event on the 23rd of July, and
yes.
it's their Xbox Game Showcase event. They're going to show all first-party games. There's a rumor floating around that they will not announce pricing or a release date for the Xbox.
Kind of
If
figured that they would do that.
yeah, I thought as well because they can't. It's basically like a standoff, and somebody has to. It's chicken, so both are racing at each other, and one has to call chicken, and they're both not doing it.
Hmm. Yeah,
And I said like just now, it's like okay, but it's not smart for Sony to do this because if Sony announces pricing right now, which basically everybody speculates it's going to be 4.99 for the disc version and maybe 4.49 or at best 3.99 for the digital edition because of a rumor floating around that games are also going up in prices, which we'll probably go into in a bit, um, so that they can compensate for that. But then if they say, okay, we're going to put the box in the store for 3.99 and 4.99, and then Microsoft is still going to undercut them and say, you know what, the Series X is going to be 3.99, and the Lockhart or the Series S or whatever you want to call it, it's going to be 2.99. So they'll still undercut it, and then Sony will look like the bad guy. Whereas if they wait for Microsoft to reveal the price, and Microsoft says Series X is going to be 4.99, Sony can still say, hey, we're going to do 49 as well. And nobody's going to say, oh, it's such a big deal. Everybody's going to say they're similarly priced. Or the impact will be less harmful if instead of Sony saying now this is the price and then Microsoft waltzing over it another in a week and saying, well, the laughs on you because we're going $100 below you and even $200 below your cheapest version with the Series S. I mean, then the only thing Sony has going for them is that they have the best first party lineup from a studio's point of view. But yeah, if you're a guy that doesn't care about that because you want to play Halo, well, then basically Microsoft has your vote on day one.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, and then probably for the rest of the Xbox console cycle, the guy will only play Halo because basically they only have Halo.
you know, okay, I'm gonna say something that actually just popped into my head, and actually, I'm surprised that I didn't even realize that this was something that could be. I'm pretty sure that the prices are already set.
Oh, I believe so as well.
Like, because it makes no sense for us to, like, if you really think about it, it makes no sense for anybody to speculate that, oh, Microsoft is trying to undercut Sony or Sony is trying to undercut Microsoft, because they have to set the prices at a certain point, like at least 6 months in advance,
Hmm.
because they have to make sure that it makes sense for them. It makes that it's financially okay for them to do so.
Yeah.
They also have to be able to communicate it to retailers on time. If you're doing this chicken race of or chicken race of like who's gonna blink first, it makes no sense. It makes for very interesting journalism, and it makes for fun rumors and speculations, and it keeps them in the spotlight and keeps people talking about it. But it makes no sense from a practical standpoint as a company to have a chicken race to see who's gonna reveal their cheap price, because the price is already set. Like the price is already like it's set in
I think
stone.
internally they know it, but I think it's
Internally,
more,
they definitely
yeah,
know.
but now it's more like a case of, um, if they play along in this game, the media will keep on hyping this and it's creating buzz for them. And then
Exactly.
the moment that they announce the price and it's favorable for them, the media will go bonkers because the next few weeks, the only thing they'll talk about is the price and the release date. And if one undercuts the other, it will pop up in every video and every article like, oh, Sony was undercut or Microsoft was undercut or whatever. So it's just good. It's business. It's just good business for them,
Yeah.
and it's free publicity because if you look at what Sony did the whole year until their PS5 event was they said nothing. They showed the logo, they did the technical briefing, but besides those two things, they basically said nothing. And you had all these developers talking about how amazing that SSD is going to be, to the point that we got sick of it because the only thing we would hear is, "Oh, that SSD is gonna make me a peanut
Change
butter
everything.
sandwich even if I ask it to." It's so amazing, and I don't even like peanut butter.
Neither do I. Oh wow, really?
Only maybe if you mix it up with a bit of honey. But anyways,
Hmm.
so like they got a lot of free publicity, and then they did their games review event, and then everybody went apeshit. It's like, oh my god, this is the best. And they also had the benefit of that Microsoft dropped the ball with their Inside Xbox event. But
Yep.
like, if you see what they did, is they like basically kept their mouth shut, and they just knew at which moments to say something or not, or maybe nudge a developer forward to say like, hey, maybe it's time you talked and said something about the SSD. I mean, like 300 people already said that the SSD is amazing, but if 301 people said that the SSD is amazing, nobody doesn't mind. So
Yeah.
it's all about publicity right now, and I mean, I think it's almost set in stone that we're going to see November as a launch date. Also because Assassin's Creed's release date is November 17th, which is basically in there in the holiday season. I have a prediction or a bet going on with somebody that I said it's going to either be on November 20th, which is the Friday, or it's going to
Hmm.
be November 27th, which is the Friday after that.
Yeah.
Because Assassin's Creed is gonna the day that Assassin's Creed comes out, or it's gonna be day and date with the next gen. So if you buy a new console, you will be able to buy Assassin's Creed. It's not like gonna be like that you have to wait a week to buy Assassin's Creed. No, no, no. When you buy your new console, you're gonna buy Assassin's Creed with it.
Yeah.
So basically, and Microsoft will probably be far off. It'll be either a week before or a week after. And then they'll tout that you can use smart delivery. Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's just
Yeah, I
very
mean, like
funny.
I'm gonna say this right now. All those people that are happy with smart delivery, just don't, because it's the
Yeah.
most useless feature ever. Because it's the same as crossplay. Microsoft came up with this stupid concept of crossplay. Everybody screamed crossplay. Sony said
Mhm.
no. Sony eventually caved and said, "Okay, you want crossplay? Here's effing crossplay." And then when they got it, nobody's talking about it because nobody cares about crossplay because it's not that big of a deal. And the same for smart delivery. Sony has said we're not going to do smart delivery kind of stuff. If developers want to do it, we give them the option, but we're not enforcing it, and we don't have a system in place that does it, which is fine. Microsoft is doing the same thing. They just give it a name. They just called it smart delivery. And now everybody's all like, oh, smart delivery. It's so amazing. I'm like, no, it's not, because it's basically the same thing Sony's doing. They just came up with a marketing name for it.
Yeah, I was like, all right, but the only because I feel because I still feel that smart delivery does the thing that I'm pretty sure that it also does is that it transfers your save files. So I don't know what they're gonna do on PlayStation. I'm assuming they might do something
Let
like
me
that.
put it this way. Okay, I'm gonna set the scene for you.
Mm-hmm.
You're broke. You have an Xbox One.
Yeah,
You can't buy a Series X because it's too expensive.
yeah.
So you'll say, you know what? I'll just play all the current gen games on my current gen console because I can. And then after a year, you have enough money to buy a Series X. So you buy that Series X. And the first game you're going to play is anything but a game that came out last year because you want new stuff. You want a game that shows off your fancy ass console. You want something that really makes it shine. You're not going to play Assassin's Creed Valhalla because you already played that a year ago. Nobody cares about Assassin's Creed Valhalla. You want Assassin's Creed Valhalla or whatever they're going to call it. So, you know, you want that because that's the true Assassin's Creed made for next gen, not some upgraded current gen version. So in
Okay,
the end, nobody cares about smart delivery because you're not gonna play a game from a year ago. You're gonna buy a new game.
but it's gonna be an enhanced version, and like you're saying that yourself. But what did you do if not play another game again when you got your PlayStation 4 Pro?
To be honest, I when I got my Pro, I just played a game that came out, and if there were older games that supported it, yeah, maybe if I get in a nostalgic mood. But I really couldn't care less if my PlayStation 4 Pro supported or the game supported the Pro or not, because I just wanted to play games.
I'm just saying.
I thought about
It's not
this,
like
so
you
that's
didn't
why.
do that.
No, but I thought about this. That's why I bring the issue up because nobody see. That's why I freaking hate Microsoft. Because they know they suck, and then they have to come up with these stupid things like smarter. They probably have people locked up in a room and like, oh man, Sony has a pretty big advantage over us. Nintendo's doing their own thing, so we don't care about them. They're also doing fine. We need to come up with stuff because our first partner lineup isn't where we want it to be. And then one
Mm,
guy says, "I got it. We're gonna create this system in which people, if they buy an old game on the Xbox One, they can just transition it to the Xbox Series X, and we're gonna call it smart delivery." Crowd goes wild. Everybody goes wild. Everybody loves it. And they're like, "Yeah, we need to do this," and then they implement it. And if they just say it enough, people will start to believe in it. If I call you crazy every day, eventually you'll start to think that you're crazy. If I say smart delivery every day, eventually you'll start to believe in smart delivery.
mm. All right,
And
well, we'll
that's
see.
basically how it is.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
I hope
But
they
speak.
release some statistics on smart delivery.
I'm pretty sure they will.
Yeah,
But they mean to have to.
I want to because I really want to see how amazing smart delivery is.
Yeah, especially since it also is works with Game Pass. So
Yeah, I have Game Pass.
it says so it's like yeah, whatever.
I use it.
But you know what's not yeah, whatever? Sony investing in Epic Games.
Yeah, they and the funny thing is they did a 250 million investment this week. It was announced in Epic, which
Yep.
gave them a minority stake of 1.4% in Epic Games, which also
Yeah.
pushed the evaluation of Epic to 17.87 billion dollars.
Oh boy.
That is just berserk for a company.
Yeah. And all that because they made Fortnite.
Probably. A funny thing is that a lot of people started to complain after the news came out because it was said like, oh, but Epic probably favored Sony, or they talk really positive about Sony because they got this cash injection. Because when they did the Unreal Engine 5 reveal and they were
Yeah,
like super enthusiastic about the PS5, it was like, yeah, but they have to say that because they got a lot of money to say it. And then the Epic CEO had to step in and said, no, no,
Tim
no.
Sweeney. Yeah.
We're like, no, we're just really happy. And I'm curious to see what this will lead to. Will it be for exclusive games, or will it be for I don't know, optimization, like that the PS5 supports Unreal Engine 5 better or something like that?
This is funny because Epic also got like a way more bigger influx of cash from what was it, Tencent?
Oh god, oh yeah,
Like Tencent, like last year bought like a whole bunch of stock. Like,
yeah,
remember
I know, a big
how
chunk.
people were all like, "Oh no, we don't want them to like own stock in Epic," and because then they're gonna force them to like get our data and stuff like that.
And microtransactions all the way.
Yeah, and microtransactions and Tim Sweeney is like, yeah, over my dead body. Well,
And my
I'm paraphrasing what he said. Was basically it came down to, no, I'm the CEO and co-founder of this. Was he the co-founder? Was he one of the
I
co-founders
don't
of
know.
Epic?
Funny thing is Fortnite lives off of microtransactions and the battle pass.
Yeah, it
It
does.
brought them literally billions. I read a couple of months ago how much money they made off of Fortnite, and it's literally a couple of billion.
Yeah, I mean that's why they can afford to do stuff like give games away for free on the Epic Game Store,
Yeah.
and having people use the Unreal Engine until they make a certain amount of money.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, as long as they can stay themselves, it's fine. Um, yeah, my Sony owning like 1 point something percent. Yeah, that's not a lot.
No, Tencent
That's
owns more.
Yeah, Tencent knows like way more. So be way more worried about that one, people. Um, Speaking of rumors and leaks and rumors, this one has been banging for a couple of weeks. I didn't bring it up because, uh, well, I didn't feel like there was anything concrete to back it up. But now there's way more concrete evidence to back up this rumor, and that is that there's gonna be a Nintendo Direct, July 20th, which is, of course, on our off week. So that means we won't be able to talk about it until the week afterwards. That's fine. Again, these are really strong rumors. They haven't been confirmed by Nintendo yet. So that means that it could also be that it's not true at all. But a lot of game retailers, GameStop, have had um, placeholder titles appear in their queue for Nintendo Switch games.
Okay.
So like this has been happening over the past week, and when that stuff happens, usually there's either an event that's going to come up that's going to reveal what these games are, um, or they're just going to be like a bunch of developers that are going to be announcing games for a certain platform, in this case the Switch, in a very short period of time. I'm still thinking it's the latter, but it could still be that it is a Nintendo Direct that's coming. We know that Nintendo said earlier this year, when the pandemic was really taking off, that they weren't going to be doing directs anytime soon because of the logistics of it all. Apparently, they were able to make one now, if the rumors are true. It would be nice. Because of all the because of all the because of the good grief, I can't talk. Because of the big three, Nintendo is the only one that hasn't done anything significantly throughout the summer. um like at the only thing that they did was announce Paper Mario and the Origami King, which is coming out
Friday.
this week, alongside Ghost of Tsushima. So big week for gaming.
Happy days.
um
I took a day off so I can play extra Ghost of Tsushima this week. I
Of
never
course
do
you
that.
did. Of course you did.
And the review embargo lifts in 2 days. So if the game gets bombed in the reviews, then I'll probably have to take that day off back and work
Hmm.
an extra day.
I'm actually not. I won't be surprised if we'll see a lot of positive reviews because I feel like that's just what's gonna happen,
I think
regardless.
so far Sucker Punch has delivered. They have not made like a crappy game so far, but maybe also because of the time they take to make it. Um, I mean, I'm always biased because when it comes to Sony games, especially on this scale, I'll always be biased. Of
Hmm.
course, Sony makes games that I just don't like, and then I'll just don't have an opinion on it. Generally, it's just Japan studio games. But when I
Yeah.
saw this like 3 years ago at the Paris Games Week, I thought this game's gonna be awesome, and I just knew it back then. Same with Days Gone. Like, okay, this game is gonna be awesome. For $30, it's awesome.
Did you hear the news that they actually worked with Kurosawa's estate
Really?
to to uh, to license that the name for the film for the cinematic
The black and
filter that
white
they did?
filter?
Yeah,
Wow, that's cool. I don't know
yeah.
if I'll. I don't know if I want to play the game because I thought about it, but I don't know if
Mhm.
I want to play the game in black and white because the game looks so pretty and so colorful, and I wouldn't want to miss out on that.
You don't want to miss out on the. Okay, that's fair to say that I don't want
I
to
mean,
miss
like
out.
they've put so much time and effort into crafting this beautiful, colorful world.
But they also put so much time and effort into making that cinematic mode be like a Kurosawa movie.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if I'll ever do a new game plus, I'll do it in that way. Because same goes for Japanese voice acting. Initially, I thought maybe that'll be cool because I played Yakuza Kiwami in well, you can only play it in Japanese, and I liked it. But when I saw it during the state of play, it felt off. It didn't feel like I don't know for some reason that either the lip sync didn't really look good, or maybe that the voices didn't match the characters you would expect. That kind of threw me off. I'm like, I don't know if I want to play this in Japanese.
Hmm.
Because normally I'd say like, hey, that's pretty cool. If the game's Japanese, I'll just play it in Japanese because it adds an extra layer of immersion.
Yeah. Oh, we'll see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the game looks so pretty that I'd almost say it's a launch PS5 game.
I mean, they had a lot of time to put into it, and I'm assuming that the footage that we saw was for the PlayStation 4 Pro.
They have
So
confirmed it's all PS4 Pro content.
yeah, so that makes a lot of sense, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Um.
I think it leads us to the thing I mentioned earlier that there's rumors floating around that game prices will go up once more,
Yep.
and that
Didn't we talk about it in the last episode, or did
no,
we miss that one?
no, because it's a rumor that's only been popping up since last week.
Right. Right. Right.
So it
No,
all
actually,
started.
it's been popping up for like longer than that. It's just
Really?
not been. Yeah, it's not been as
It got big with NBA
fervent.
2K.
Yeah, I mean, it was something that it wasn't rumored, but people were discussing it. That odds are that prices might actually go up, and then people like the insiders started talking about, yeah, their odds are like prices are gonna go from 60 to $70.
Yep.
And I feel, on the one hand, I feel that it makes sense in the sense that if you look at how game prices have been for the past 15-20 years, they've always been kind of the same.
Last time though, games prices were raised
The
was
last
during
time
Modern Warfare.
the last time it raised was during the PlayStation 3 era.
Yeah, it was Activision that did it with Modern Warfare 2, I think,
Yeah.
and everybody followed suit after that.
Well, except Nintendo because theirs were always €10 cheaper. But then with the Switch tax was introduced and everything.
I'm
Oh, that
still
was
mind blown
the
that the Switch games always are $60. There's like never a sale on Switch games
you
unless you
mean
buy it
like from the
secondhand.
well, I mean, if it's a Nintendo game, once in a while they'll do their 33% off, which is like what a weird arbitrary number, 33%, whatever.
Yeah.
Like 250, man. Gosh darn it.
Yeah, but like
It
if
sounds
you
like
look at the PlayStation sale and then the Microsoft, I don't, I think Microsoft does it as well. But if you look at the PlayStation Store sale, basically every week there's a sale going around.
I
Eh,
mean, Nintendo has sales too. It's just not Nintendo that doesn't usually have sales on their games unless it's, summer or spring or Christmas sale or Halloween sale.
Sony
And
literally
then
has sale every week.
yeah.
They'll have pre-spring sale, and then after that they'll have spring sale, and then they'll probably have after spring sale, and then
And they also combine that with PlayStation Plus membership. So
yep, yep,
you can get extra discount if you're a PlayStation Plus subscriber, which
yep,
you have to be if you're playing online.
yep.
Um
They also give a lot of
and
discount on PS Plus.
yeah.
It's
So
actually pretty good value, kind of like Microsoft does with the Game Pass and has this Ultimate with Xbox Live and Gold and all that stuff in it. Really nice.
yeah.
Yeah,
But the price is going up. I feel it makes sense. It has to because in all entertainment, prices have gone up. Movie tickets,
yep.
streaming services prices go up. I mean, it's not like a lot, like a buck every year or so, or every 2 years, depending on how the economy is.
Netflix has upped their prices by a couple of 100% in the last few years, and people still just
Yeah,
buy it.
exactly. So it's weird that it doesn't happen in gaming. And especially if you look at indie titles, even indie titles have steadily gone up because it used to be like the standard what people would be willing to pay for an indie title was what, $5, and
And
then it
maybe
then it went to 10, and then it went to 15. Now you're paying
early
20,
early access.
20, 30, 20, $30
Yeah, or early access.
or early access. Then early access is sometimes the only way that you can get an indie title on the
Yep.
cheap early on, because by the time it officially releases, it's like 2 times, 3 times more expensive,
What was the game called again?
depending on the game.
Star Citizen, I think, is the perfect example. That game rakes in
Really, though?
millions.
And that game is not even out yet.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, like they have ships
people
you
are
can
still playing
buy.
the alpha.
Yeah, and there are ships you can buy for a couple of $1,000, and it's still a pre-alpha game or an alpha game. And like that game feels like a friend of mine played it, has it. He says it's actually pretty nice. But when I look and think about the game, it feels like the carrot and the stick. They constantly keep
Mm.
the carrot in front of me, but they always slap me with the stick after I give them my money. That's why I don't want to give
So-
them my money.
Something is gonna give with that project, I swear.
If I feel like it's gonna be this, the CEO of the company ran away with all the money, or he spent all the money on.
Now the problem is I told you this before. The problem with that project is that there's like a whole bunch of feature creep because the director of the game is like, yeah, put this in, put this in, put this in,
Yeah,
put this in. I like this. Keep this in, put this in, put this in. And basically they're just burning money on development.
uh,
And whenever they get an influx of money, it's gone because they have to pay people.
crazy. It is crazy. The benefit of raising the prices, though, could mean, because that's the other price. I mean, like game development has gone up considerably from a
Yeah.
cost point of view, and nobody has ever compensated for that in the price. Um, Sony historically has never made money off the console until the PS4. They always made money off off the game, the disc. Now
The
they're
licenses.
yeah, now they're saying, okay, if the prices of games go up even by $10 or euros, it could mean that Sony and Microsoft could subsidize, as they call it, I believe, more of the price. So they could say, like, you know what? Since pricing of games go up by $10, we can afford to drop the price by, for example, $100, or the PS4 5 could be, the digital edition could be $399, because they'll say, like, you know what, $50 we pay out of our own pocket because we take out the Blu-ray drive and all the stuff around it. So like we say $50 there, and the other 50 we'll throw in because we're raising prices of games by $10, so it'll offset that. Meaning there could be a $399 version of the PS5.
You know what really would be nice because of the price hike?
No.
Developers getting paid better.
That is, I fear, a thing that will always be an issue, and it will differ per country, because in the Netherlands, there's just pretty good laws that protect people. But
Yeah.
like in the greatest country in the world, I fear not.
No kidding. Yeesh.
Yeah.
No
And it's
kidding
really
there.
hard for me to not say that's really on my mind, because if I say that, we'll probably have a scandal on our hands.
Hmm. People riding down around their motorcycles here.
Nice.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I hope it does. I wouldn't mind if the prices go up by 10. I know it'll probably be a huge issue if it does, because people
Hmm.
will like cry heresy and whatnot. And I see the pitchforks and all that stuff coming out
Oh,
already.
I see Microsoft leveraging Game Pass in that regard, like big time.
Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely. But it's somebody has to come out and say, look, people, it's been 15 years since we did this. And game development has become so expensive, and we never charge you extra for it. Now we're going to ask you for $10, but for that extra $10, we're going to give you so much value back. Just deal with it. I mean, I think maybe Call of Duty will, if the pricing is correct, Call of Duty will be one of those games that ups the price and the rest will follow suit.
Yep, and they'll still charge you for the battle pass.
But I only wonder one thing, because now there is, in a way, there is already an increase. Because if you buy a, and I don't know how it is on the Microsoft front, but if I wanted to buy The Last of Us
Hmm.
digitally, so I could play it day and at night of the release, and I went to the PlayStation Store, and it was $70 digital, and I was like, hey, but isn't this supposed to be 60? Because I'm used to spending $60 on a game. And then I looked on various retailers, and some sold it for 60, some sold it below 60. And I thought, hey, but that's strange. I'm paying a premium to get the game first,
Early.
early. Why is that? Because I can remember I've bought a gazillion games digital on the PlayStation Store. For example, with the Division, I bought the Ultimate Edition, so that meant you get the the season pass included, and you got 2 weeks earlier access. It was $100. But if you bought that physical, it was also still $100. So it was no extra added tax. But then I started looking and I thought, like, I can remember that at least all the Sony games are $10 more digital. So I wonder if they add this price increase of $10, does this mean that at least Sony or other digital titles will become $80? Because then we're talking about, like, that's a pretty big number. And I know it's only $10, but if I tell you that a game costs $80 from a psychological point of view,
Hmm.
it sounds like a lot of or 79.99, but it sounds like a shitload of money.
And then I'm reminded that in Japan, like if you buy a game, sometimes it's like $90.
Really?
Mm.
Holy crap.
Because like I know this because I the fact that I forgot this is actually astounding because sometimes I'll check prices on, for example, like the Nintendo eShop, or if I'm going online like Amazon Japan, because sometimes it's just like a browse stuff there, and I look at prices for games, for example, and they'll be at least 15-20 bucks more than here. Like for example, dang it, what was the game? There was a game that I wanted to buy. It was new. I think right. So they released a remastered version of Catherine Full Body for Switch,
I have no idea what that is, but it sounds strange.
which is an Atlas game. Basically the game that they put out before Persona 5,
Okay.
because that was their first HD game. And on Switch in Japan, it costs 75 bucks.
That's still a lot.
It's a it's 75 bucks, but if you buy it here, it's I think 60 or 70.
Yeah, then the difference is 15, which is still a lot.
Yeah, exactly. But like for example, a big title can sometimes be 8,000 yen,
That sounds like a lot.
which is about 80 bucks.
I mean, I think
But that's Japan's thing because for example, if you buy a Blu-ray movie or whatever, or a series with like a couple of episodes on it, even that is like really expensive. Here, if you buy a Blu-ray, what was it, like $20,
Maybe 30 at the most.
maybe 30 for like a movie.
But then you get like a
It's
fancy version.
it's 50, $60.
What?
$70 if it's like a special edition.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Actually, no, sometimes it's $70 and it's not even a special edition. It's
But
just
like, do people then at least get it? It's like the modest income there high enough to offset it. So like that. Oh, but they have the games are expensive, but the people working there make a lot of money. So it's in balance. Here it'd be
I think
strange,
I think so. I'm not 100% sure, but the thing is, media has always been more expensive in Japan in general.
even though a lot of the stuff gets made there.
Yep.
Okay, but they say the technology is cheap there.
Relatively, yes.
Okay,
Like I mean, the the, the thing that you don't have here as much it is that there's a very decent used um a secondhand industry in Japan
yeah,
where you can get stuff secondhand, but secondhand doesn't mean like it's all busted and everything. It's still pristine. It's just it's cheaper. So most people, like people that can afford it, will buy it new, but people that can't afford it will buy it secondhand because it's cheaper to buy it secondhand. Even like new titles that come out, like if you're patient for like a week or two, you can buy it used for probably 10 to 20,000 yen cheaper if you're lucky.
that's nice.
Did I say 10? I mean 1,000 to 2,000 yen cheaper.
Yeah, because here, if you generally buy something secondhand, it's like scraps,
Exactly.
unless you're
Yeah.
lucky.
Yeah, I mean that's why one of the cool things is like if you're a retro collector and you go to Japan, you can sometimes get like some really cool stuff pristine or close to pristine or like in very good condition for like really cheap.
Nice. That's good to know.
Yeah. So yeah, the pricing thing, people, it's gonna be met with a lot of people not liking it at first, but people are gonna have to accept it.
At one point, they have
I
no
think at this
choice.
point it's unavoidable.
Yeah,
I don't. I think that might be one of the reasons why pricing on the systems has been postponed for so long.
yeah,
I think that ties back into that. So
yeah.
be prepared, people.
I wonder because like at one point I'd say, you don't have a choice.
Yeah,
You can boycott it as much as you want, but
mm,
if it's something you really want, you'll just have to cave, or it will mean that you will have to wait a long enough time until the game is available secondhand, or you can find it somewhere else cheaper. But if it's let me put it this way: if it's Breath of the Wild 2 and you really want to pay that on day one, and it's going to be $80 or $70, you're just going to spend that 70 or $80. You're not going to wait for it for weeks until you find it somewhere cheap because people just want to play it.
yeah.
We're living in this world that everything needs to be immediate and fast and now. People aren't as patient as they used to be. Um, I do wonder because if it is true, for example, from a PlayStation point of view, is are people going to buy the digital edition more then because it's cheaper? Or
Allegedly cheaper.
yeah, but
I don't
like
know.
yeah,
They might. I mean, they might.
because but then I think if people do that, um, what
I mean,
about
at least I think I don't know if the incentive is there to buy the digital version
I
for at
mean,
least
like,
for Sony. For Microsoft, I can totally see that again because of Game Pass and Smart Delivery. I
mhm,
can totally see people buying that because if you have Game Pass, you're basically set.
yeah,
As long as you're paying for that and for Xbox Live, you're pretty much set. You're done. Like you're getting your games, at least the first party games. You're getting those. It's all good. Sony's is a bit a tougher sale, especially since PlayStation Plus games are leave a lot to be desired. Seriously, it's the 10-year anniversary of PlayStation Plus, and they're bringing out 3 games, one of which had a discount earlier in the year for I think $3 on PlayStation Network, which was NBA 2K20. Like you could buy it for like three or $4 on PlayStation Network. I think in April or something. They had like this because of the coronavirus thing. They were like, you know what, we're gonna make it super cheap on all platforms. So I bought it on Switch for $3. Um, so yeah, people already own that game if they don't already. So nice that you're giving that for free. The other one was Tomb Raider, and the other one was a game that I had even never even had heard of. What was it called again? Do you remember the third game in
I don't
that
know. It
one?
was like a really vague, almost felt like a Japanese kind of game.
I actually kind of felt more like an indie title, but sure. Um,
All the strange things I automatically associate with Japanese games.
oh, way to go there, dude.
But hey, that's because I heard some pretty disturbing Japanese games, so that's why I was like, "Wah."
Hmm. Yeah, sure. Um. All right. So there is one more thing that I wanted to just mention before we go into what we've been playing, and this past week marks the fifth anniversary of Satoru Iwata's passing.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, that is like the the fact that it's been 5 years is actually
It doesn't feel like 5 years.
it exactly. It doesn't. It literally felt like it just recently happened, and yeah, yeah, it's still kind of sad. I mean, like the last thing he worked on was the development of the Switch. So the fact that the Switch has actually been quite successful, is part in thanks to his hand in that development. And you know, Nintendo has had its ups and downs, but as an individual, Iwata himself did a lot of cool things. Um, I mean, he got his start at HAL Laboratories, which later reformed as HAL. They worked with Nintendo basically from the get go. He did a lot of, um, you know, some programmer for hire stuff for Nintendo. Um, he basically the only reason Pokemon Gold and Silver is two games in one is because of him. Because they couldn't get the system to work. They couldn't get the games to fit on the cartridge, and he just retooled one of his old compression systems, and he compressed two games into one.
Wow.
Which is why in Pokemon Gold and Silver, you're not only in the Johto region, but you also travel back to the Kanto region. And he did a lot of stuff for Nintendo right up until he became president of Nintendo. Even working on uh, Super Smash Brothers Melee, and basically doing overtime for them to get the game out on time. And
Yes.
as president, he led the big blue ocean strategy for them. The DS Wii U era, the Wii era was all under him. Wii U, unfortunately, not a great thing. But even when that wasn't successful, he decided that he and the other higher ups took a pay cut instead of firing people, because he knew that firing people is not the way to motivate people to like do their best. So he, Miyamoto, and a bunch of other executives took multiple pay cuts during the Wii U era. So yeah, eh, like love him or hate him, like the dude was amazing. And it's just sad that he wasn't able to get the recognition for the Switch's success.
Did he not really
I mean, he did, but he didn't get to
see it?
see it happen.
I think the Wii was a huge success, unfortunately, because what my biggest issue with the Wii was is it changed gaming forever in a bad way. Because of the Wii, mommy and daddy and granny and grampy also wanted to play games or started playing games with all those silly games. And because of that, a lot of companies said, "Oh, but we don't have to focus on the hardcore gamer anymore. We can just focus on this whole new category called casual gamers." And it affected game development in such a way that a lot of games became too soft. Let me put it that way. And then
I I I
you would just
think that yeah. Go
yeah,
ahead.
you would just look forward to a really cool game, and then you would figure out like, oh, but this game isn't as its predecessors were, or this is really meant to be super accessible. And I want gaming to be accessible to everybody because that's the power of gaming. It's for everyone, and we want everybody to be able to enjoy it, but but not in a way that like you water down your game because you want Granny and Grampy also to play it. I'm like, yeah, no, Granny and Grampy don't have to play everything. Some things are best kept for the grandkids instead of for Granny and Grampy.
I still believe that at least what the Wii era represented was inclusion, and honestly, it's like inclusion is good for the industry.
Definitely,
Because when that happened, that was especially during that time. It was the Call of Duty era, Modern Warfare, like shooty shooty bang bang, like basically
I like
whenever
shooty shooty bang bang.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I am saying that whenever, especially during that time, whenever someone asked me like what I was into, and I said video games, they're like, "Oh, like the Call of Duty," and I had to like, yeah, Call of Duty is a thing, but that's like the not the only thing that exists. And I feel that the Wii era and the DS, actually, especially the DS era, emphasized that games did not just have to be like for the hardcore gamer. You could have really fun games. I mean, that's why stuff like Rhythm Heaven and WarioWare like appealed to me, because even though it's not a hardcore game, it's something that everybody can easily pick up and play, and it's still fun. Don't get me wrong, there are some developers that took advantage of that in the most stupidest ways. Looking at you, Carnival Games, but that's the exception to the rule and not the norm.
I I mean like I think gaming needed it to get where we are now. But I think that, and that's the difference between gaming and a lot of people never look at it that way. But gaming outgrosses all the media and blah 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 industries combined every year. But it's maybe also because a game can easily cost $60, whereas a movie ticket is 10, 15. So you still have that
Mhm.
difference. But gaming isn't that old. I mean, if you look back at film, it's one of the oldest mediums together with print and radio and stuff like that. But
Movies are over 100 years old now.
Yeah, so like it's been around for a century, whereas gaming is
40.
4 decades maybe at best.
Yeah.
So like it's a pretty young. It's you would almost say it's like a baby compared to film or to radio or to print, and now you're kind of getting these growing pains that we're going through, like the harassment and stuff like that that's happening. But like, I might not be happy with what happened with the Wii and stuff, but I think it is one of those things that was necessary. Sometimes you need a big enough change to get somewhere. It might not always be the nicest of changes, but we probably wouldn't have gotten where we were if it was for specifically that era of gaming.
hmm Hey, look at it this way: if it wasn't for the Wii, you wouldn't have the Move controller, and you wouldn't have something to play your PlayStation VR with.
Yeah, you can think of it that way. I actually have a Move controller. I bought it for SOCOM 4, and I played SOCOM 4 for a little bit with the Move controller. It was actually pretty good.
Yeah,
I never played it afterwards, but it was actually for that only game. It was actually pretty good.
I played Time Crisis with the Move controller.
Oh my god, I wish I had known that. I have like a special soft spot for Time Crisis because it was one of those first games I played on the PS1 with the gun, and
Yeah,
it's one of the games I always want to play. When I go to an arcade, it's like I automatically associate that with Time Crisis. Like if they don't have Time Crisis, that's not an arcade. It's basically that for me. I mean, like when we went to Blast Galaxy, they had Time
yeah,
Crisis, and
yeah. Time
I was
Crisis.
playing Time Crisis the whole night because that's my jam.
Yeah,
People are like, I
yeah.
want to play this, and I go, no, 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 I'm good. I have my gun, I have my paddle, I got my drink, and I got Time Crisis.
Let's go.
uh,
uh, yeah. So honestly, again, from the bottom of my heart, I say thank you, Wada-san. Your your influence in the game industry has been big. Not just that, but also let's not forget the directs. I mean, he was literally the face of Nintendo for like a really long time. I mean, you don't see you don't not to diss anybody. Much love and respect to like Phil Spencer, dude's awesome, but I don't see him doing something like a Nintendo Direct
No, but
or
it's also
an
maybe
Xbox.
that it's also maybe a cultural difference.
It's partially a cultural difference, but honestly, I think he legitimately enjoyed doing those things.
Yeah, yeah, because if I were to say, okay, if like for me, Phil Spencer and the Xbox brand in general, if it feels really masculine, really manly and mature, and like
Yeah,
it feels like that. Whereas with PlayStation, I say like no, it's not that. PlayStation is more of a middle
and
ground,
it's
whereas
more ambiguous. Yeah.
yeah, and Nintendo on the other hand is more like family friendly and more like if I would say name a color, I'd say a happy color, for Nintendo. Whereas with Xbox, I'd say like oh, a dark color.
Gunmetal gray.
It's something like that, yeah, or space gun Saturn blah 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 gray or something. And with Sony, I'd say, oh, it's blue. But that's also maybe the difference, that because Microsoft always shows off these, I don't know, I always get this image of like a Gears of War in my head or stuff
Mm,
like that. It's just so and
very boys club.
yeah, and normally I'll like raw, but in this case, when I think about like, yeah, I don't know if Phil Spencer did something like Iwata-san did, people would just like say, hey, this guy needs to resign right now because we don't want to be treated like little kitty. So I don't know what this guy is doing, but he
Yeah,
definitely
but
needs to.
it's not but the thing is, in the direct, it's not like it was down. It wasn't talking down to the audience.
No,
He
but
just
people would experience it that way. They'd say like, we don't want to be treated like kids because it's not manly. It's not masculine.
okay. I've never heard anybody say that about Awada in a
No,
direct.
no, no. But like
Oh,
the
you mean like if someone else did it? You mean?
yeah, if Spencer did it, then that would be the reaction.
Oh, but I totally see Shuhei Yoshida doing something like that though.
Yeah, but that's
If
maybe that's what I
given
meant.
the chance, I feel like if Shuhei Yoshida was
Yeah.
allowed to do something like that, he would do it
That's why I'm
similarly.
saying like maybe it's also a cultural thing because Shuhei Yoshida is like the coolest exec in Sony and like the kindest and the funniest. Like at one E3 he said, "Oh, besides being the president of Worldwide Studios, I'm also a customer support representative when I talk to all of you on Twitter." And then he would show all those tweets he has. But like the guy is just so fun and full of energy and so if you see the guy, you just want to give the guy a hug. It's just like that's the kind of guy he is.
Yeah. Yeah, I honestly, I still miss the guy.
I can imagine.
So yeah, but yeah, I mean, Nintendo's doing good. Hopefully, we'll find out more about what they're doing. I just wanted to bring that up.
I think we should end it on that note.
Yeah. All right. So stick around, guys. We'll be right back with what we've been playing. All right, we're back with what we've been playing. Sean Templar, it's been a couple weeks. What have you been playing?
I have been playing a couple of games.
Mhm.
I'm I don't feel like playing a lot, but that's basically because there isn't a lot. And after I finished The Last of Us, I didn't do New Game Plus. I'm still in doubt if I should do it or not. What I have
Do
been doing,
it.
I don't know, because it's like, I don't know. But
But
I went back to a game called Motorsport Manager. I played it last year. Since Formula One started again, I was all up in the Formula One mood, and I didn't want to buy Formula One 2020 because I wasn't sure if it was last year when I bought it. It was in a discount and a couple of weeks later, and eventually I didn't play it as much as I played Formula One 2018.
mhm.
So I thought, like, you know what? Maybe if I'll see it in a sale for $30, I'll buy it. But then the reviews came out, and the reviews are pretty good. like getting 8 or 9 across the board, because this year they've added the feature to bring your own team to the grid, which they didn't have. So there's this whole manager mode that you can be the 11th team on the grid, and you have to develop your own car and recruit your own drivers, and it's a pretty managerial aspect. And I thought, wait a minute, I have a game that does that and more. Motorsport Manager. And the cool part is it supports mods, so you can download either the current season or past season. So I'm playing season 2019, and actually I'm further than I've ever been, because generally when I started it, I quit after like 2 or 3 races because I just didn't feel it. But now I'm the team principal for Red Bull Racing, and I'm actually in race 12, I think, of 21. So pretty lot.
Mhm.
I played a lot. I played like, maybe Steam says I played 18 hours in the last few days. Um, and it's cool to see that in the real life, Red Bull Racing is a competitive team. It's like in the top three, and here it's almost in the top three. And then the cool part is you get to develop your team, so you can hire new mechanics and new engineers, and you can develop the whole car, and you can develop parts. So just like when in the real race that they bring upgrade packages to certain races throughout the year, I've built new engines and rear wings and suspensions and stuff like that. And you can, when you build it, you get like this. There's It starts at as an average. It's kind of like in a loot game. It starts in an average, and then you have legendary parts, so you can develop and research that. And if you want a legendary engine, there are requirements such as a specific testing facility or like a wind tunnel. And so it's almost like these RPG mechanics woven in there. And
Mhm.
then I'm at the point now that I've done a couple of upgrades, and then when you do an upgrade, the you can have your team either work on the reliability of that upgrade or that part, or on the performance. Because if you build a new engine, it could be that the is really fast, but has like the worst reliability, meaning it could break on you during the race, and then you have to fix it in the pit window, and then means the pit stop takes longer, meaning you lose your position, and blah blah blah. So it's pretty in depth, and I really like it because I've gotten to the position now, or to the point in my career, that I'm actually starting to get a few podiums. That my car is really starting to get competitive. Because normally I'd be all over the place, and qualifying would be all over the place. And now I'm like in that top five, and I've actually done a few podiums with my drivers. In fact, I've one of my drivers did a podium that I didn't expect him to do because I was so focused on my other drivers. So, like in my career, I have Max Verstappen and Pierre Gasly, and in the real Formula One season last year, Pierre Gasly was demoted to Toro Rosso because he wasn't as good as they expected him.
Mhm.
And when I started out the season, it was the same situation. Pierre Gasly was actually pretty shitty. And I thought, like, okay, well, we're just gonna have to do it in the real deal. So I thought I tried to get the real replacement, but he was too expensive for my taste. I'm like, look at you, little shit. You're asking a lot of money, you know? And then I thought, you know what? I'll just find another driver. So I recruited Carlos Sanz, who is actually one of the best rookie drivers. I wouldn't even say rookie drivers. He's like one of the better drivers, and he's going to Ferrari next year.
Okay.
He finished best of the rest, as they call it. So he was basically the fourth um, outside of the big teams. And I recruited him. But before I recruited him, Pierre Gasly actually started to win races. So, so I'm in this position that I hired a new driver. I thought, you know what, I'll put Carlos Sainz in my second driver's seat, and I'll make Gasly a reserve driver just to be sure before I fire him. But the funny thing is that I was in this race, and I was Gasly was always lacking behind. So I was so focused on Max that race. I'm like, okay, I need to nail a podium. I need to nail a podium. And then the race, and I just done a few settings for Gasly. I'm like, I'm not even looking at his car. I'm just focused on Max. And then suddenly the race ends, and I'm like, oh, probably Hamilton won. And I look, and it's like Pierre Gasly got P1. He won the race. I'm like, huh? What the hell just happened? I just put him kind of like on an auto mode. I actually didn't give him any attention, and he just outright won the race, and Max got P4. Like, what? This is not what I was expecting. So that was a nice surprise. And then a couple of races after that, he like got P3 and P2. I'm like, what's going on here? He's actually outperforming Max. That's not how it happened in real life. So it's really fun, and I really like going back to it. And I'm thinking like, okay, should I go to another team in my second season, or should I stay, because I actually want to win the constructors championship, with Red Bull, and then eventually I would just want to move on to Ferrari because I'm a Ferrari fan. So
Mm.
I actually want to do that. So I'm like, well, maybe I should first become champion with the Red Bull, and then move over to a different team. It's really fun. I'm really having the time of my life. I didn't expect it. I've also been playing another game called 8-Bit Armies. Um,
Ooh.
yeah, and I'm a huge fan of the No Clip YouTube channel, which is basically game documentaries, and they kind of go in pretty cool areas, and they interview pretty wide range of developers, both indies and established ones. So they did an episode around the Command and Conquer remaster that came out recently. So I thought, like, hey, this is pretty interesting. So I watched it, and I know that the remaster is done by Petroglyph, and Petroglyph is basically a studio made by former Westwood people who came up with the original Command and Conquer, and they've been making RTS games for 16 years. And they made an RTS game called 8-Bit Armies, and it came out in 2016. And I saw it, and I was like, maybe I should try it. And then I watched some videos, and it's literally a 8-bit version of Red Alert. And it was a Steam sale, and I said to a friend, this is our calling. This is what we've been waiting for all these years." We bought it for like $10 with an expansion, and we played it, and we didn't even have to follow the tutorial. It is literally Red Alert in 8-bit. It's really cool. It has really cool, colorful style. It has the same principle. You build a power plant, and then you build a refinery, and then you can build a barrack. And we played a couple of matches against the AI together.
Yeah.
And the AI is pretty mean. They rush you pretty quick. I didn't expect that on normal. And it's just really fun. And then, for example, with your tank, you can run over infantry. Then they splatter, and their blood is all squarey and pixely, of course. Uh, it lacks the depth a generals has, because your
Hmm.
units gain normally in generals, for example, your units gain rank,
Ranks.
and they have upgrades, so it lacks a little bit of depth. But besides that, for like $10, it's the most fun I've had in a while, and it's just literally just Red Alert. I'm trying to tell everybody that used to play Red Alert, hey, you should buy this game, man. We can play 16 people on a map or something like that. But it's really fun. I would recommend it to people that are
Stable
fans.
servers, or is it like peer to peer?
I honestly don't know, because a friend of mine just hosted it, and I joined the server.
Oh, then it's peer to
I
peer.
think it's
Oh,
pretty
okay,
clear.
that's nice.
Yeah,
Pretty
but
good.
it's really nice. I'm really happy that I found it. Um, I didn't want to buy the remaster for Red Alert because I'm a fan of Red Alert 2, and they did only the remaster for Red Alert 1. But I hope that this opens the possibility that EA will kind of go back to RTS games again. Would be nice. I
That
have.
would be nice.
I'm of course a huge fan of Total War, and Troy is coming out in less than a month now.
Hmm.
So in the meantime, I'll play that. But 8-bit armies, it was a nice surprise. It's if we did hidden gem, I would say that's a hidden gem. That is a true hidden gem.
Hidden gem.
Eh, and besides that, yeah, the basic Call of Duty. Sometimes pop into a server, play some Call of Duty.
Mm.
It's fun. Warzone. It's just I'm normally not the guy that goes into game chat, because I hate game chat, because it's just basically British 12, 13-year-old guys that just scream a lot and just, annoy the shit out of you. I respect
Mhm.
rich people. I have rich friends, but, if I, people know that play Call of Duty, they know what kind of annoying people there are. And lately we've been joining game chat with a group of friends, and then they just try to drive everybody insane. And the other day we were playing a match, and there was this French guy, I think. He walked into a room, and I shot him, and that was the winning kill. And he went ape shit over the microphone. Because if you're in game chat, you don't hear the other team unless you kill somebody. Then you get like the
Mhm.
last few seconds, the mic turns on, so you generally hear people screaming or shouting or in shock. And then when the match is over, in the in between lobby, you can hear each other. And this guy went ape shit after I killed him. And then in the in between lobby, he was going completely nuts. I was like, dude, I didn't. He's like, camping, blah blah blah, French. He was speaking French, blah 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 blah, camping, blah 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 blah. I'm like, dude, I just got understood the word camping, and I did not camp. I was just there at that moment, and you passed by, and I pulled the trigger. It's as simple as that. No, no, blah 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 blah. You're freaking out, and then the match finished. We won 5-0, and then we match made into another session. Guy was there again. We won another 5-0, and then it happened again. So eventually, he played 3 games in a row. He didn't win any. He lost them all of them 5-0, and then eventually I said, maybe you should just call it a night and just turn off your PlayStation because we won 15 rounds in a row and you haven't won a single one. So maybe just call it a night. And then he went off. And to be honest, I'm the last person that says that kind of stuff, but it was just so funny. It was, and eventually, I won't say his name, um, but the funny thing is that eventually the guys that I was playing with started
Mm.
to call out his name, but they started to mix it up, make songs, annoying sounds around it, and it was really funny. I think the guy went completely nuts.
Oh no.
Yep. But that's basically it.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I don't hope the guy's traumatized.
Yeah, I hope so either, man.
Yeah. I mean, Call of Duty is fun, but it can get annoying at sometimes.
Yeah, just be careful, because the line between fun and being toxic is razor thin.
I know, and that's why I'm not a fan of game chat. Because generally, when I'm playing a match, I turn game chat off, so I mute everybody, so I can just focus on my own. Because, and that's something I do not miss in Call of Duty, is that sometimes people have their microphones turned on, and there's so much stuff happening in the background, and you're hearing all of that. Sometimes it's people that are together in the same room, and then they're either talking or sometimes even shouting, or there's music or whatever. It distracts too much. So generally, I just
Yeah.
turn game chat off, and then I just play it that way. But the group I play with, it's like happy hour if we go into game chat. Oh, well, that's it. What have you been playing?
Well, I actually did play a bit of Warzone a while back. Single player. Um, I still kind of suck at that, but I did try that new mode that they had in the rotation for a bit.
Yeah,
The what's it called again? The one with the money.
Blood Money? No, what's that called? Blood Money?
I think it's called Blood Money.
The Blood Money, right?
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun because with that you can actually respawn back into the game and continue. Um, but since I was playing alone, I couldn't get the money. It's like I can get the money, but I couldn't get a lot of it. Um, so I played a few rounds of that. I then proceeded to dump the whole gosh darn game off my PlayStation because I wanted to try out Star Wars Battlefront 2 because that was on PlayStation Plus. And I was right to do so because that game was 115 gigabytes, even though the download page says 49.
You're still rocking a 500 gigabyte launch PS4 hard drive.
And yeah, we had a little bit of a technical mishap there, so I hope you enjoyed the elevator music again.
Maybe you should choose something else.
Nah, man, the elevator music is king, man.
As long as not one of those bleeps you use, because I remember one time somebody swore and you used a
Yeah,
bleep, but it was so loud, the bleep, that it
yeah,
just hurt my ears.
yeah, the edit on that wasn't good. I apologize. I already apologized for that one. Dang it. Um. So yeah,
Battlefront
Battlefront
2,
2. Yeah,
Star Wars.
Star Wars Battlefront 2. Played that. The single player mostly. The thing is, when you're downloading the game the first time, it'll download the arcade part, which you're playing against bots. When I've played that, the controls felt a little bit weird. I don't know how to describe it. It felt
Weird?
well, it felt a little bit floaty.
I don't know, man.
Like I don't know how to describe it. It didn't feel as tight as say
Call of
what's a
Duty?
yeah, or another third person because I played in third person and played in
Yeah, but
first
I
person.
think because you
Maybe
can
that's a
switch
problem.
between third person and first person.
Maybe
Yeah,
I should try and play it in first person. I think
yeah,
maybe the problem is the third person camera is not that good.
yeah. because it's
Um,
not intended to be, I think, that way.
which is weird because back when Pandemic did it, the whole point was doing it in third person
Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't think it's their focus.
or their strength,
Yeah, I don't know. Dice has not made a third-person shooter ever.
except for these two.
Yeah.
Wait, was the first one also?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, so I played it mostly for the single player, and I'm not gonna lie, I actually enjoyed the story of Versio. Um, like it was like the cutscenes and stuff acted very well. It felt legit. Um, I like the way the story starts though. Like the story starts with you being captured as Iden Versio, and the first thing you do is not play as her, you play as her droid who breaks out of captivity because they're trying to dissect it to get to the information in the droid. And you play as the droid, and that's basically how you learn to control the game. And it's really cool because it's this stealth moment, and there are times where you have to shock people stealthily so that they don't notice you. And then when you finally get to Iden Versio, you take control of her, and the droid allows you to hack doors. And of course, she's not a Jedi, so she doesn't have force powers.
She's a stormtrooper, or
She's
like,
well, she's an elite stormtrooper
yeah,
called
kind of like a
dang it,
special forces sport stormtrooper.
yeah. And uh, like the funny part in that story is like even when it's not about Skywalkers, it's still a family issue because her dad is the admiral, and
Yep.
it takes place literally during the Battle of Endor.
Yep.
So the Battle of Endor happens, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna crush the rebellion." Then, like, the Death Star goes boom. Spoilers for Return of the Jedi. If you haven't watched it yet, that's your own fault. Um,
Generally, you say spoilers first, and then you spoil it instead of the
yeah, but
other way
it's yeah,
around.
but it's a what at this point 30-plus-year-old movie. Who cares?
Hey, there are
if you
still
haven't
people out there that haven't seen Star Wars.
Hey, if you haven't watched Wars yet, you're either too young or you didn't care. So,
Or you lived under a rock.
or that. Um, but yeah, so you see it happen from their perspective, and they're like, "Oh, dang!" So they're trying to escape from. Escape from Endor, and you do, and then you see what the Empire does and all that, and it's really cool how they did it because you don't only play as Iden Versio, you also
Hmm.
take control of what they call the heroes. So there's a segment where you actually play as Luke Skywalker, whose voice sounds really weird because it's like a not it's not
It's not
Mark
Mark
Hamill.
Hamill. No.
Um, also looks a bit weird too. Like,
I think they
uh,
actually kind of nailed the performance capture of the people because a lot of people are based like Iden Versio. Her face is based on a
oh yeah,
real actor.
that's spot on. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
and
yeah,
there's one of her right hand, to put it that way,
yeah.
is did you ever watch Arrow, the DC
Yeah,
series?
yeah, 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 yeah.
It's Laurel's dad.
Oh yeah, yeah, right,
Yeah, so
right.
it's like spot on. That's something that Dice really nailed, like the facial capture stuff. It's like
Yeah.
really accurate. You
Yeah,
immediately
for
know,
the
like, hey,
for
that's
the
the
for the
person.
people that they were able to do facial scans for,
Yep.
perfect. Like,
Yep.
good, spot on. Like, great. For the people that they couldn't do facial capture for because they had to have younger versions of them, like Leia looks kind of off too. I mean, the only ones that look decent is Chewbacca because, well, he's just a walking ball of fur. And honestly, like, that's the best Chewbacca model I've ever seen in a video game. Because I've
Yeah.
seen Chewbacca models before, and like the fur always looks like matted grossness. And um Han Solo actually looked pretty decent, and they actually
Yeah.
got a pretty decent voice double to do a younger, like, uh, younger Han Solo.
Yeah, I think Obi-Wan Kenobi was voiced by the Obi-Wan Kenobi from the Clone Wars.
Oh yeah, you mean yeah, it has to be because
Yeah,
they couldn't get Ewan McGregor.
yeah, but the likeness is like
The
spot on.
likeness is like spot on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it is the same guy. I think they kind of boasted that they got that guy to do
Yeah,
the
I think
voice.
it's the guy from Clone Wars. I think that they actually mentioned it
And
somewhere.
not like I'm not gonna lie, like Han Solo with a beard actually kind of looks cool. He looks like a dad. He looks like a dad before he was a dad. And yeah, I mean it's cool because you get to experience through the single player like the different kinds of play styles.
Hmm.
Um and Iden Versio's moveset is actually pretty cool because she has the droid,
Yep.
and the droid has abilities like it allows you to scan for about 30 seconds so you can see where all your enemies are. Or you can send it out to shock if it has enough charge, and it'll shock one person, or if there's like a cluster of enemies, it'll shock them all and like KO them. Um, the guns are really cool. They like the sound design in the game is like spot on. Like it's like spot on, really good. Like the laser blast sounds like the way they're supposed to. Um,
I would actually be
the
surprised if those things were not, that's like the bare minimum you expect because Dice has access to all the assets and they like went to
exactly,
Skywalker Ranch and they went into the vault and they scanned everything. So like everything Lucasfilm has ever used for Star Wars, they have access to. That's kind
yeah,
of the perk of having the license.
yeah. And the fun thing is, this is all canon.
Yep.
And for something that's specifically only in a video game, if you haven't played the video game, you don't have that experience. It's a pretty cool experience to have. I mean, I haven't finished it yet, and they added like a prologue, like not a prologue. They added like an
Epilogue.
epilogue thing where I haven't played it yet, but like I saw the image of it. Like you see Iden Versio, and she looks like way older. Um,
I haven't
so
finished
I
that.
I'm actually kind of curious. I want to finish that and play that as well and see where that story leads. So I've been playing that. I think I'm about maybe halfway through the story so far. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't checked it up yet online, but yeah, it's a pretty cool single player. Outside of that, I've been playing a little bit things here and there, not a lot of stuff actually. I've been playing Super Mario World on my commute, because at the end of the day, when I'm done with work, I'm so tired and so drained that the only thing that my brain can process is something that I've played so many times that it's literally muscle memory at this point. So I play that on my commutes on my Switch, of course, via the Nintendo Switch Online service, which is great. Um, I tried playing other stuff, and I just did not have the energy for it. Um, what else have I been playing? So I haven't played Xenoblade in a while, and I need to finish that game still. Um, so I haven't really gotten the drive to pick it up again, which is kind of like annoying to me because I've actually gotten further than I originally got, and now I'm again at a blockade. But it's a me problem, so I just have to get over myself and just finish the game. Um, so that's actually the the major thing that I've played. Oh, wait, there was one thing that I forgot to talk about the last time. A new game that came out called Ninjala, which is a free to play game for Switch. The
Never heard of it before.
well, it was announced shortly after the Switch was launched. I think the first E3 where the Switch was present
Yeah.
is when they announced it, and they had gameplay there, but I don't think people. I think they even had people play it, like journalists were able to play it, but that was back in 2017,
Oh wow.
and it finally came out this year, and it's free to play, except it's not here.
What?
So you can download. I had to download it from my US account.
Okay.
You can't download this stuff from the Dutch eShop.
Why?
And I don't know why. I have gone to Twitter. I've tried to contact the developers on this, and I have nobody's given me a straight answer on this
Have
or
the
an answer
developer
at all.
have they
And
replied, the
I
developer?
no, like I tried to they like I tried to hit up their Twitter account, but they didn't reply to that. So yeah, of course they didn't. But the only thing that I can think of as to why it's not on the Dutch eShop, because it's on the UK eShop.
Okay,
I don't have a UK account because why would I have multiple European accounts? Because
I
that
don't
would be
know.
stupid. But apparently, I would have to do that if I want to be able to play the single player game because the single player campaign is separate and you have to buy it separately,
Okay.
which is really annoying because I actually wanted to play the single player because it actually sounds pretty cool. And for $5, it's not that much. But the fact that I can't even do that because it's not available in the Netherlands because it's a free to play game,
Mhm.
it's not a game that has loot boxes. You get random rewards when you play it. It has a battle pass,
Okay.
but a battle pass is not randomized. You know what you're getting when you buy a battle pass. It's why Fortnite is still allowed to be played here. So it doesn't make sense that it's not on the eShop. So anybody at Gung Ho listening to this, I doubt it, but hopefully someone can relay this message for me, please. Why can't I not download Ninjala from the Dutch eShop? Just let me download it from the Dutch eShop so I can actually give you money. Right now I cannot even buy the battle pass because of this. I can only play it for free, which is fine, but it's actually a fun game. I mean, if you've you know Splatoon, right? Like you've seen Splatoon, right?
Yeah, you've shown me.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that, but you're ninja kids instead of squid kids, and you use gum to produce weapons and use gum in your maneuvers like bubblegum. And it's
Yeah.
like the gameplay is actually really smooth. Like the first time I played it, it was kind of weird and awkward because the battle mechanics are a bit, it felt a bit stiff. I played the beta, um and then when the full game came, the battle, like you're fighting when you're fighting against another person, the first time it feels a bit stiff in controls. But when you learn to use the lock-on system, it's your best friend because that allows you to just wail on your enemies. And there's this parry mechanic. Basically, whenever two players attack each other at the same time, it'll enable a parry mechanic where you have to push a directional button, and the person who basically pushes the right directional button at the right time
Mhm.
wins. So it's kind of like this rock paper scissors moment where if if you're pressing right and I'm pressing up, the person pressing right wins. If you're pressing the same button at the same time, you'll continue the parry until one of you loses, and then you can wail on the other person to get a point. There are also these drones that are floating throughout the level that allow you to build up your weapon energy. And when you have enough weapon energy, you can get a bigger weapon, which allows you to KO the other person a lot easier.
Oh,
And
sounds
the
nice.
and the tally comes down to who has the most points. You get bonus points for getting the most kills or destroying the most drones. So even if, for example, I'm third, but I got the most kills and I got the most drones, I could still end up being first at the end of the match. Matches last, I think, 3 minutes.
That's
So
not
it's
a lot.
also like Splatoon. Splatoon is also 3 minutes per match,
Okay.
and you can play team based, but right now it's battle royale. But it's like not like 100 people. It's I think 8 people. Like it's a 8 people melee, so it's not like 100 people, but it's fine. It's like honestly, it doesn't matter because the respawn time is fine and it's nice and colorful. I think the game currently only has 2 stages though. Um, but like aesthetically, it's fun. It's fun looking. It works really nice. Again, it's free to play, but if you live in the Netherlands, you can't play it unless you have like a US account or a Japanese account, or a UK account. Um, I don't know. It's kind of disappointing that you can't even do that. So outside of that, I haven't really played anything else. So I guess that's it.
That's okay, right?
Yeah, that's okay.
Cool. I think
So
that's it, right?
yeah, will you sign us off?
I will try to do the honors. Okay, so thank you again, as always, for listening to us and for tuning in, especially in these times when podcasts are not listened to as often as normal. You can find us on all platforms that generally have podcasts, so Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Overcast, Stitcher, whatever. You can find us on Anchor, and you can also leave us a voice message through Anchor. You can do that either by the link in the description or by just using your Anchor account. You can ask us a question, provide us with feedback, whatever. We might even feature you as a game rival. You can email us your feedback at gamerivalsfeedback@gmail.com. You can send us a tweet through game underscore rivals underscore. You can tweet at Maximilian at Maximilian.
That's right.
We have an Instagram, which we have in the link. The link is in the description. It's Game Rivals,
Hmm.
just one word. We also have a YouTube channel, but apparently there are a gazillion Game Rivals, so we'll just drop the link in the description. Um, we have a Discord, which is pretty new.
Yep.
We will
The
also
link is also in the description. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll do that. You can join in or you can talk to us. We'll try to respond as much as we can, but we've thought maybe that we can create like this game rivals community that it can just kind of grow organically, even if we are not constantly there, even though we try to be there.
Hmm.
But that people can just share stuff with each other there and have fun and maybe meet new people. Um, Try it out and let us know what you think. Um, I think I have covered everything.
Yeah. You got it.
Well, then, as always, I have always been and will always be Sean Templar,
And I am Maximilian X.
and we'll catch you on the next one.
Later.